Gosh, dang it.
G'day, guys, and welcome to the Starswift Chronicles. My name is Michael from Ask a Pathfinder, and here with me today are the illustrious crew of the Starswift. G'day, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
I got coffee.
We've got an awesome show ready up for you guys because we have a whole bunch of really cool things that we're going to be hopefully trying to get to the bottom of. But to tell you more about that and the current goings-on for the crew is going to come down to the Dice of Destiny, who will decide that, Captain Ulrich will be doing the recap this week.
You mean Captain Arik?
Arik, what did I say?
Ulrich
von Liechtenstein. No. No, Captain.
Well, there we go. All right, so yes, last week we were having docked with this mining asteroid, which is full of a mineral known as lithium, and in particular red lithium. We decided to disembark and had a rather brief and tragic encounter with three miners who seemed to be completely and utterly autonomous. They had absolutely no self-preservation skills whatsoever, causing Mr. Keen, my brother, to blast them into smithereens and thankfully not ignite the entire asteroid, which does run the significant risk of exploding at any given time, considering that it's full of this highly explosive material that I've already mentioned. Our mission is to go on to the asteroid, find out what's going on, find the starship, the Della Milani, which is why we're out here in the first place, and retrieve it and possibly its crew. However, we suspect the crew may have succumbed to foul ends as a result of a rather pointed situation with Mr. Keen, who has been pulled, dragged, or otherwise taken away from us, if I remember correctly.
You do indeed.
Dragged away, yes. And the rest of us are following up with battle plans, I hope, because if they don't have battle plans, then we're in trouble, because I certainly don't.
All right, so getting straight into it, the last you saw, Mr. Elias Keen has been dragged through the strange and mysterious white clear sort of fungus into what appears to be a crevice in the wall. He has, however, managed to make his reflex save as he's caught onto the edges before disappearing into the darkness within. He looks up at you guys, probably with a look of alarm, panic, or cool, calm demeanor. What do we have?
All of you fools.
We're supposed to let go at that point.
I sat on that for a week. You all better appreciate that.
All right, so obviously seeing your comrade in imminent peril.
Well, I leap for him.
Elias! No!
All right, as you leap for him, you can grab onto his hand without any particular trouble. But the thing tugging on his leg is giving you quite a big fight against his otherwise resisting pull. Could you make me a strength check in order to try and pull him free?
He's good at these.
So apparently in diving forward, I've tumbled forward and I've put my hands on his head and I'm pushing him deeper into the hole. Yes. Quite possibly I myself am sliding into that hole too, just because gravity is stronger than I am currently. I'm just sort of lying there as a puddle.
Captain, why?
Yep, you watch as the hungry maw of this dark crevice seems to be consuming both the captain and his brother. Bastian.
Shoot it! Shoot it!
Okay, fine. I throw a projectile of some of the loose gravel or some of the rocks that I find at the creature.
All right, you can't really see a creature in the dark, but you huck it straight into the darkness at where you imagine something to be. Make your attack action.
All right. Crit.
Ooh. Yeah. All right. As you basically grab a handful of refuse and rubble, you peg it as hard as you can into the dark. You hear a low droning sound echoing and resonating through the hole, and you feel Elias's foot come free as Ulrich and Elias pull themselves free from the hole.
All right, Captain, maybe we should hit the thing before we try to grab your brother. Next time, the new
I
rule?
knew you can't. I knew you can't.
All right, okay, let's get out of there and let's go somewhere where it's more light. I don't like this.
Okay, Dolyug, you obviously seeing this unfold. What is Dolyug up to? I feel like
I'm really curious what that is.
You're flying.
I'm gonna look at the crack and try and see what's making big, loud, angry noise.
All right, Dolyug walks up to. Floats up because he's
Yeah.
got he's got his little drone.
Like
As he.
the Jetsons, hovercraft on like a button.
Oh yeah, so he gives you guys a remote control so you can fly him around. As Dolyug approaches the crevice, he turns on his armor lights, which shine down and into the darkness. Rather than actually seeing any particular creature, you do see something quite unusual. And that is, of course, these long scratch marks that seem to be dragging across the stone. It's really strange, too, because it looks as though there's like these cables or these fibers that are like black and sharp and jagged that seem to be lodged into the walls in various places.
Whoop,
Yeah,
I've
this
angered
is
the
why,
machine god. Let's go. Some
This
other
is
way.
why I don't like being anywhere with ground. Being on a ship is so much nicer than this. Ugh.
All right. I think that we are going to need a guide. What do you gentlemen think? Do we get that goblin to show us around? He's been
I
here
don't think
before.
that goblin wants to go on the ground.
I don't think he has much of a choice, Mr. Zagutu. He is our guest after all, and I would hate for a guest to get bored aboard our ship. Much safer if they travel with us.
I fully. I will take assistance at any opportunity of which we have time to get it, and I think it'd be foolish of us not to use it and possibly die. Listen, I like my leg. I don't want it to be eaten.
Mr. Fell, what are your thoughts on including the guest?
The thing is, Trax seems to be trustworthy enough. I mean, he's been honest with us, and he's terrified, so that means he's going to want to get out of here as fast as we want to. So he makes our job easier. He gets out of here faster.
Let's cuff him, though.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely...
Yeah.
We definitely got to cuff him.
We think cuffing's unnecessary.
Yeah, well, it's probably for his safety rather than ours. Yes, all right. Well, let's quickly get him before we proceed much further into these caverns, shall we?
All right, you got it, Captain. Let's head back over there and get ourselves a little goblin guide.
All right, so you turn around and you begin to make your way back towards the Starswift, leaving behind, obviously, the large patches of fungus you had walked into. Returning to your ship, you could see, obviously, the large crater that was once 3 miners and the debris that once constituted their mortal coil. As you re-enter your ship, you hear the sounds of banging coming from the observation deck.
Drax, can you hear me? Join to the comms.
Yeah, mate, I got you.
Hey.
Well, what's up?
So, you want to work out a deal?
Oh, man, well, I mean,
Faster.
what kind of deal? What kind of deal?
You guide us to the ship, you help us find whatever we need to find and show whatever we need to show to get out of here faster, and we book it out of this place.
Are you bananas? Mate, there's no way. You got to be joking. I mean, look, I mean, I've heard rumors of the Great Bastion fell, okay? And if there's anyone who could appreciate how little I want to step onto that rock, it'd be you.
I know. I don't want to be there either. But the best thing is, there's 4 of us to help you make sure that you don't die really fast. And we have 4 people to help all of us leave this ship and this stupid rock that is super explodable if you just help us.
Roll a diplomacy check.
Huh? All right.
That's pretty convincing. That's pretty.
I was like, I don't know if this is diplomacy or a bluff, but I'll go with either. That's going to be 12.
He sort of ponders. He sort of ponders for a moment, and he says, "All right, listen. I kind of had to leave. Let's just say relatively quickly when I left the ship. I don't suppose if I were to come with you, you'd help me get something from my quarters."
Sure.
You know what? If you make sure that you allow yourself to be handcuffed, so that way you don't pull any funny business, I'll make sure we go to whatever compartment you need to, grab your little toy or whatever you need to get, and we get the heck off this space rock.
Hold on, whoa. So you want me to be handcuffed? You want me to be handcuffed while there's God knows what running around on there? I thought you guys were going to give me a gun at least.
Hey, you know what? You have 3 other people to help protect you. I mean, our captain, I feel, Eric, you agree to this? I mean, this is a good guide, and it's a good chance for him to get out of here faster, right?
If you absolutely insist, my alternative was simply to shunt him out the airlock and claim that he was lost with all of crew on board whilst we salvage his vessel. So I suppose if that's one way of keeping him alive, then yes, we'll have to take it. You've managed to convince me, Mr. Fell. I will have to let him live.
See, I'm keeping you alive.
Yeah,
the other options, you die, right?
I see this. Yeah, all right. I guess I've got little choice. I mean, technically, you could suffocate me in this room, so you know.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, just
we evacuate all of the air from the chamber, Mr. Fell. It's a standard process.
Oh yeah, I remember when you did that to me. No, I remember now. No, I get that. Okay, yeah. I'm so sorry that happened to you, buddy. Trax.
It's okay.
It's
okay. Just let me out of the tiny, very increasingly shrinking room, and I will be more than happy to guide you on Death Rock.
All right. Open up the airlock. Have a somewhat of a rope or handcuffs to help
him. And then, do we have it?
I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to talk to Dolly. He's got a few plans for you, though. Just be sure to check.
You also notice he has a wrench.
Drop it, punk!
All right.
Cool. Turn around.
Whoa!
For fuck's sake, everybody! Could
all right, hands behind your head.
Jeez, have you been talking to my ex-wife? Jesus.
Yes.
Talia,
last night.
Can we calm down a bit? I think we're being a bit too xenophobic at this point.
My lab was destroyed because this guy.
What? I didn't do nothing. I was in the thing.
Don't resist.
Technically speaking, we didn't ask him to open and take it.
Mr. Fell, I would suggest for self-preservation and long-term happiness aboard this vessel that you agree with Mr. Zigutu at the moment as to the present cause of the destruction of his personal, private, very important space.
You know what? You make a really good point. I'm just going to go off and go look outside the windows and see how we're standing out there. Okay, yeah.
Good plan, Mr. Fell. Well done on getting the goblin to agree. All right, Mr. Zigutu, once you've secured him, please make sure that he comes with us. Mr. Keen, I hear your reservations about the treatment of this individual, but I do think that these are rather extreme times, and the sooner we get going, the better.
All right.
I'll assure you the next individual that we come across who may be able to help us survive on an alien-infested rock, we'll treat with much more care.
Oh, I feel so glad for that guy.
Right. Of course, Captain. GM, what kind of handcuffs are these?
These are standard iron manacles for the purposes of our sci-fi aesthetic theme.
Are they mechanically released or are they computer release?
They are computer released, and they are connected by electromagnets rather than a locking mechanism.
So anybody with access to the ship could access those handcuffs?
Incorrect. They are on an independent system, so they can only be accessed and hacked from their console. Sadly,
so somebody has to have that console.
Yes, sadly, while Wi-Fi technology in our universe might be trying to get everything to talk to absolutely everything, they decided that it is in no way beneficial to have manacles on an open channel.
Okay. Who has that then?
The goblin.
That'd be Cap. The captain would probably have that console.
Oh no, the captain would have the passcode,
Got it.
as well as probably anyone who he deems worthy enough to have the passcode as well.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Okay. All right, you disembark from the ship once more. The goblin sees the scene of carnage, and he sort of hastens his steps a little bit, and he's now, like, you can tell if he wasn't agitated before he left, he is most certainly agitated now, seeing that quite clearly ship cannons were used to mow down some of his fellow comrades. As you return to the scene of the white fungus, he looks around and he says, listen, I got to tell you this, mate. Those conduits up there, they're actually connected to a power core. And that power core has, it's got an electrovore in it. That's how we managed to maintain the station. I can't see the conduits are active, so I think maybe something's happened to the generator. Before we move into this tunnel, if we don't want to get lost in the dark, especially you guys without, the ability to kind of, see through it, I reckon we should get those conduits back up and running.
All right, that's fair. Do you think you have a good path of where that would be?
No, I know where the power core would be. My problem is that if the electrovore is dead, or if he's dead, we're screwed. But if you can find a replacement, or if he's just escaped, then that might actually work just as well. That little drone on your back there, for example, has a power core that we could easily rig up to it. But just saying. Jesus.
All right, look, hold up. How aggressive is this core? Is it a thing? Is it a being? What is this?
Oh yeah, giant, big, nasty lizard, eats electricity. Ironically, stores enough of it that you can charge your car for life. That's how they roll.
How they survive. All right. So, if what would be some warning signs of this thing?
If they're agitated, they crackle with lightning. They fly around. I don't know. I'm not really that kind of.
Do they have tentacles?
Oh no, God no. What? They've got like big teeth. They're like a giant flying snake, I guess.
All right. And then I'll just kind of whisper into my comm, just saying, yeah. So it's definitely not the thing that attacked us. So we should definitely be aware of that. All right. Let's keep going.
Okay.
What did you make of this fungus that was growing on the rocks, or did you not know too much about that, Mr. Trax?
I was on the ship for the most part, but I heard reports about this strange fungus, but it wasn't this bad. You can see it's kind of grown up the walls here, and you can see that some of the map markers there, they're just completely covered. That wouldn't have been allowed. Like they would have cut that down. It looks as though whatever this is, it's spreading like really quickly. I can't really say for sure, but it doesn't. No one really said it did anyone any harm, but still weird.
It is indeed. All right, let's hustle to get this power restored. You said that's the only way to access your ship.
Yeah. So that's down this way. The goblin leads you down towards obviously where you saw the mining colony with the tents and the various little bits and bobs. And he eventually leads you towards the back of that area that has been marked off and designated. And indeed, you can see what appears to be a large power core. There is a broken piece of glass that seems to be in one of these chambers nearby. And this sort of rising smoke that seems to be pouring out of it. The goblin seems a little bit relieved at it and says, no, definitely that electrovore's escaped. So, if we can catch it and put it back in, I can have it fixed in no time. But you need to find it.
So how much did these electrovore like these batteries? Would they chase them?
Oh, any strong electrical signal, they'll come like moths to a flame.
Captain, I'm pretty, I'm always good at the running and getting away from problems. If you really want to strap one of those things up on my back, I'm fine with doing laps and drawing this thing to where we need to go.
Oh no, this one has no power. That's the thing, is it draws power from the Electrovores.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we use some sort of battery and and the thing starts chasing me, I can bring it back on here.
How big are electrovores? I don't know anything about them.
Oh, well, the ones we use are kind of like infant ones, so there may be... he sort of tries to gesture, but his hands are tied. He sort of says, no bigger than me.
Mr. Zagutu, do you have any experience working with electrovores?
Nope.
You can roll a culture check to know a little bit about at least the technology involved with electrotech. 12? All you would really know is that unlike, say, generated power that comes from, say, sort of the lithium crystals or anything else, bioengineering is the predominant source of the bioelectrics gained from the electrovores. So, for example, you wouldn't find an electrovore that could power a ship, for example, but you could find one that would, again, power a small generator, or you could find one that powers a particular device. Even like a small handgun could be powered by sort of larval electrovores. But the ones like sort of to power like the ship would have to be the size of a mountain in order to do so. But no one's really reported any electrovores being used to power ships before. So,
is there no way we can restore this thing without having to go running around looking for an electrovore? I'm just trying to think of how to mitigate the risk to you, Mr. Keene, of being attacked by more tentacles whilst you're trying to lure a potentially electrostatic creature towards us.
Right, that did happen.
I could have sworn he just said tentacles. Did he say tentacles?
What?
We're not entirely sure what it was. It's actually fairly terrifying. It's very shrouded in mystery.
There was just darkness and running, and it's just we came to
Probably
grab you.
it's nightmares incarnate.
I take it's too late to go back to the ship, eh?
Yeah, the more time we spend talking about the tentacles in the darkness, the less time we spend repairing this device. Mr. Zagutu, can it be fixed without an electrovore, or must we get one?
Engineering check.
Natural.
Natural.
1.
Mr. Zagutu is confident that he can fix it. However, he then lists off a series of parts that there is no possible chance that you will find on this small, unforsaken rock.
Can I give it a shot?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is 11.
With an 11, you can repair the glass that has been broken.
I think
All
I
right.
can get that glass in.
It's obvious we need to get this creature back. How long will it take to get the machine up and running once we have secured an electrovore?
Oh, instant. As soon as you put it in, boom, whole thing will come to life. The whole place will light up. It'll be great.
Is there any equipment that you have on board to handle these creatures so that Mr. Keene might have a electrovore rubber catcher, for example?
Yes. Just this way. And he sort of hops over to like an emergency panel. He uses his teeth and he sort of and opens the this forward folding panel. Inside, you do indeed see a pair of rubber gloves and what seems to be an inflatable net.
How effective are those?
Pretty effective. It's how we usually catch them if they get out.
Okay, all right. Can I do I'm going to do a survival or a perception check to see what direction it might have scattered off to or started to travel to?
Yep, make your survival check. Make a survival check as you begin to try and track this creature.
This is gonna be way too much fun.
That's going to be a 20.
Ooh, very nice.
Good job.
I put a lot into survival.
Looking at the glass, you can see that it was shattered from the inside as if something had just basically bashed itself against the glass. And there is trails of this translucent light blue blood that seems to be on some of the shards. While you can't see any particular trail, you can see little droplets of blood that seem to be heading off towards the, well, orientation-wise, towards the western side of the camp.
All right. I'm just going to point out that small little trail. And Elias, you...
Before we go
Good luck.
chasing something, you said something about my drone?
Yeah, that we could rip out the power core, chuck it in there, and temporarily power it up.
How long would we need it to be powered?
Well, if we overcharge it, I mean, it'll act like basically Electrovore food. I mean, we wouldn't even need to necessarily use all of it. I assume your drone has a backup generator?
It's pretty small, no.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, maybe, I don't know, we could probably squeeze in 15 minutes of overclocking to it.
So guys, we don't have to chase the thingy. It's Shocky. We don't have to. I'm sure I could find another one in the ship. Easy. Or make one.
I think it would be better to keep you mobile, Mr. Zagutu. I have a suspicion that being able to maneuver in a zero-G environment as freely as you do may come in handy.
All right.
I appreciate the sentiment. Mr. Keen, Mr. Fell, would you please go and find us an Electrovore?
I am so glad I came on this mission. All right, let's do it.
All right.
Before I go, I'll say, so brother, just in case I do manage to die, do you have any last words you'd like to say to me?
Yes. You're wasting time. Go and get the Electrovore.
I tap him on the cheek. I love you too, and I'll go off.
All right.
Mr. Fell, please make sure that Mr. Keen does not have to live by those as his last words. Now, we need to sort out whatever we need to prepare for the survival of our Electrovore.
All right. So as Elias and Bastian grab the Electrovore handling kit and begin to make their way toward the western side of the camp, Auric and Dollyyug find themselves sort of being the hands of the goblin as he goes through the step-by-step process of repairing the somewhat damaged power core. As Elias and Bastian begin to make their way towards what appears to be this large kind of mess hall, I guess, where you could see food and drink kind of prepared in areas, but in various states of like unrest. So someone's knocked over a big vat of stew. The stew sort of very lazily sort of slurps and slops around. So reasonably fresh, but not really. You don't want to eat that. You can basically see in front of you several smaller tents where you believe they store food and ingredients and things like that.
Right. You got a point on this. I don't like being anywhere with.
All right, fine.
Yeah,
All right,
okay,
so I'll start. Searching around. I'm gonna check the tents, and then I'm gonna move into other areas where like people prep, like kitchen and maybe some personal electronics would have been.
Okay, so how are you investigating the tents? What is your approach?
How I'm going to investigate the tents is I'm going to be very quiet. I'm going to be going heel toe when I get about 15 feet away. And then I'm going to use my knife to kind of like see around corners.
Okay.
To try to so I don't have to directly expose myself, but I'll still be pretty dang close.
All right. So as you approach the first tent, sneaking up along the side, could you roll me a stealth check?
Awesome. That's not as awesome. That's a 12.
12. And Bastian, while you see him basically doing his best rendition of the Mission Impossible theme while he is stealthing, what is it you are doing?
I'm going to do another survival check. and trying to see if I see any more of its blood or if I see any points of action that were like really disruptive in the area.
Mhm.
That's going to be a 9.
A 9. Well, there you sort of look around. You see this, stew on the floor. You see some plates that are broken. You look around. You can see the lights above you that aren't powered, and you're like, something bad happened here.
This doesn't look great. Oh wait, should I be whispering?
Is it?
Should I be whispering?
Yes.
All right. Elias pulls out a knife, and he peers around the first corner with apparently the luck of the devil. As he peers around the corner, he sees a refrigeration unit. The refrigeration unit seems to be pouring out cold air.
Okay. All right. So so then I'm going to I'm going to continue on into this next area. I'm gonna look around to see if I can find what I'm looking for.
Okay. You creep steadily into the tent. You see meats and other kind of cold foods being, sort of kept within this area. Instantly, as soon as you walk into the tent, the temperature drops to an unnerving cold. Thankfully, your suits have built-in heaters, so you only feel the brisk for a few moments before you're warmed back up. Meanwhile, on the other side of the camp, repairs are going quite well. Could I get Master Doliag and Captain Auric to make me a perception check while they continue to work diligently on repairing the power cord?
12 for me.
12? 16. All right. With a 12 and a 16, the both of you believe you can hear something from a darkness that's about 30 foot away from your vision. It's just out of the range of the lights that you've been using to proceed through this particular area. But it almost sounds like shuffling or scraping. Nothing heavy, nothing big, but there's definitely movement nearby.
How close are you to completing your repairs, Mr. Zagutu?
How close am I to completing my repairs, Mr. Trax?
I'm pretty sure we're all done. We just need that electrovore.
We're almost all done. We just need that electrovore.
Is there a bloody echo in here?
Thank you, Mr.
There an
Zagutu. I think that it would be great. You are armed, are you not?
Mm-hmm. I'm forearmed.
And carrying weaponry. That joke never gets old. Are they carrying weaponry?
Yes. 2 of them.
Good.
I'd like
Does it seem
weapons.
getting closer.
It does indeed seem to be getting closer.
Your weapons are your breath. I want to arm myself. I want to get ready.
I call out, is there anybody there? Dumbest line.
You do not seem to hear a response, but you do hear the shuffling sound seem to hasten.
Interesting.
Is it like a small shuffling, or is it like a dragging kind of shuffling?
It's a small shuffling. As you watch the darkness with peering gaze and weapons at the ready, I assume weapons at the ready.
Oh, yes.
Emerging from the dark appears to be an engineer. The engineer stops at the edge of your vision and begins to wave.
Oh, fantastic. Finally. Yes, I'm Captain Eric Keane of the Starswift, I say as I start walking forward.
I'm keeping my gun drawn, prepared for another engineer battle.
All right. As you begin to walk forward, you both may roll me a sense motive.
Oh, 22.
22 and
5.
5. Dollywug, you are filled with a sense of relief that there is someone alive here, because obviously it's just been creepy, it's been horrible, you've exploded. There's, it's just not been a great day. You're more happy than anything else to see another friendly face, and he definitely has a very friendly face. Captain Keen, you have, however, noticed something peculiar, and that is, of course, that this individual has said nothing and is continuing to wave. Upon closer inspection, you also notice that he appears to be hovering about that far off the ground.
Oh, no.
What's his facial expression?
He seems to have a smile on his face, but like his demeanor, it seems unchanging.
Does his skin tone seem natural, or does it seem pallid?
Still seems pretty natural.
All right. Well, then, Mr.
I look at Trax and ask him if he recognizes that git over there.
He says, yeah, I think that's Simon. Simon? Yeah, Simon was one of the young engineers. He, didn't like him. He was a bad card player.
Oh, excellent. Simon, teapot hamburger letters on a Tuesday morning in Thrupsbury?
He nods. And then seems to do this.
Shoot him, please. I shoot him.
All right. The both of you can make me attack actions as you fire.
11.
Oh, God.
11 and...
11 and well, he's not a moving target, you see, so that was the problem. I was anticipating him leaping out of the way, so I shot where he's going to be about 3 meters left.
Guess those are hard, man.
Well, actually, it's a good thing that both of you actually did. While both of you fire your laser pistols, or rifles, or whatever you have at hand, the light from the energy sears past both sides of this waving individual and illuminates the corridor behind him, showing that there, in fact, are 5 others who are nearby, each with mining equipment at the ready. Concealed in the dark. All right. Any expressions?
You want to go, mates? I'm the best engineer here.
Not the words I would have chosen, Mrs. Zagouji. Protect the generator at all costs. I think darkness is our enemy here. Mr. Keen, Mr. Fell, if you can hear me, we desperately need some assistance in the engineering section. We're about to get, we've got some visitors.
All right. Meanwhile, back on the other side of the compound, while Elias is slowly making his way through the frozen tent, he hears the sound of someone calling out behind him. He stops to sort of listen a bit closer, but it's a bit far away. He can't quite make out what the words are. Bastian, you, however, can absolutely make the words out. There's someone being called out to, someone apparently named Simon. And then a few moments later, you were both surprised at the sudden and very abrupt sound of gunfire.
Oh, okay. I guess we have company. Okay, let's go run back. All right.
You just see out like a bullet out of the tent, and like turning on his heel like the Roadrunner, like choom, bump, 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 and then scooting past you.
Beep, beep. I'm just right. I run follow, just crazily waving my hands. Okay.
Don't panic. I feel like Bastian needs to always have like this inflatable bag with him. Yeah, just... Okay. All right.
So I am a fast mother effer right now.
All right. As you guys make your way back, you can see the captain and Dollywug both pointing their guns at this one guy who seems to be gesturing and waving them forward.
In siren-like fashion, yeah.
But you can only see the one individual.
Okay, all right. I am gonna take out my. I'm just gonna shoot another rock at him, I guess. And slowly shoot a rock at the thing that does not look like it's doing good things for us.
All right, make your attack.
Ooh, it's gonna be 23.
We're in the future, fellas.
Evidently, rocks are Bastion's chosen weapon.
Which is hilarious considering the fact I never want to be on a rock.
Imbued with the strength of the god of war, this rock flies from Bastion's hands and collides heavily with the person who seems to be waving. It actually hits him square in the eye.
Ooh.
As it does so, his eye seems to swell up, and you see blood sort of dripping down his face, but he is still...
That's terrifying. He didn't even care. Elias, do something. Oh, God.
You see, all right, Elias is going. He'll look at that horrified. Kill him. He'll look to his brother. Kill him.
They haven't attacked us yet, and that would have provoked an attack. They're calling us somewhere. I don't know what necessarily needs to happen. Mr. Trax, have you seen this behavior before?
No. Jesus. Shoot him in the head.
I did that. That didn't work.
I'm gonna shoot him.
Make your attack.
Just quick question. Since I have dark
18.
vision.
Oh, sorry. Your dark vision will actually see a little bit further ahead. You can't really make out where they are because they're kind of hiding behind rocks and stuff, but you definitely see movement coming from the cover of the corridor that's behind him.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that, Elias?
18.
18. You shoot him straight in the kill zone. Boom. As your blast does 3 damage. You see this searing, smoldering hole. All right.
I don't like this at all.
Do you guys just all want to unload on this?
Open fire!
This is terrifying.
Rambo time now.
Holes begin to appear on this body. Its flesh seems to fall off. You can all make a medicine check to notice something as this is occurring. And eventually, as it staggers backwards, it then just falls to its knees and collapses face down.
9.
It's still alive. It's still alive, I swear.
9.
9? Come on, guys.
Keep shooting it.
I will do a telepathic message to see if I can ask
10.
what it wants.
Okay, so as you do so, let's see. Ooh, okay, I got this. All right, so you look at the body lying on the ground. Now, Doliag, what did you get for your medicine check? Anything? 2. Okay.
Live, I swear.
Okay. All right. The body lies still and motionless on the ground. The holes and bits of chunks of flesh are just, missing and all over the place. As you try to reach out mentally to it, you feel you kind of feel this this sense of like a razor's edge just sort of being stretched and pulled, and this high-pitched whine pierce your ears. And through that noise, through that high resonating, sharp ringing noise, you hear something being muttered. You hear closer and closer, and you eventually are able to make out a single word.
Feed. Yeah, so apparently the thing's really hungry, and we shouldn't walk towards the light. Or the darkness. Don't go towards the darkness. Away from the darkness.
What's very hungry, Mr. Fell?
Whatever's inside that very, very dark corner of this space rock, because there's nothing but one word that it's saying, and all it's trying to do is feed.
Feed. Embeth, can you hear me?
Yes, Captain. I hear you loud and clear.
Kindly disengage from the rock and hover about 100 meters outside of the asteroid if possible.
Yes, right away, Captain. You hear the sounds of the ship's engines beginning to shake and move. As it does so, you feel the rock begin to shift, and you hear the sounds of what appears to be like rocks and debris beginning to dislodge. As you look up, you see that the liftoff has caused the rock to become slightly more unstable, and these huge boulders begin to fall down on the mining colony. Do you guys want to try and seek cover or move away from the colony, or what do you guys
man, let's get cover.
You mean in the engineering section as well? These boulders and things are falling over?
No. They're sort of making their way towards you, as it were.
What, the boulder sort of collapsing?
Yeah. Yeah. So the collapse is happening
God.
closer to where the ship is, and now it's sort of spreading out towards where you are.
Sorry. All right, got it. All right, take everybody. Mr. Trax, do we have to go down that corridor that those creatures are down? Is that where the starship is?
No. That's this way, but that way is really dark, and I don't recommend going down it because there's holes and there's slides and there's a whole bunch of stuff there. It's very dangerous. Our health and safety dictates that we have proper and secured lighting along that entire area before we have access to it. That, however, was the tunnel where we were mining the red lithium. That way.
Oh dear Lord, Captain, there was a refrigeration unit. Perhaps if we get Deliog back to where that was, we can remove the whatever electricity's there and put it in here and put it in the generator.
Mr. Zaguchi, does that sound like a plan?
Probably do it, but we have to get there first.
Well, then that's where we're going. There's no point in staying here if those creatures are going to simply try and lure us forward or feed. I suggest that we all head in that direction and watch out for the rocks above us. Mr. Trax, you're coming with us.
All right. So the rocks that have fallen slowly begin to cease as the ship makes its way away from your current location. You kind of see these huge rocks have now like crushed a lot of the different areas, but thankfully enough, the refrigerator appears to be intact, having been thrown from the tent, and is now seated in the back area behind the food tents.
All of a sudden, Harrison Ford peeks his head out.
Right, I'm going to look around to see if I can find one of these electricity snakes as well. I'm going to try to, because if they're around, I still want to get that opportunity.
Okay, you begin your search as you continue to look for these electric snake. Auric?
I'm going to keep just generally aware, looking to see what else is out there whilst providing cover for Mr. Zaguchi with that wonderful phaser pistol of mine. But obviously my stormtrooper training has not helped me very much.
All right. As you do so, you notice that out of the darkness of that same tunnel, another miner appears.
Don't let them touch you, whatever it is.
Got it. I'm not going to get anywhere near him.
Mr. Fell.
Oh, sorry. What was that?
Can I get detect magic?
Yep. You cast detect magic out, which is definitely long enough to reach where he is. There is no magic that you can detect.
Okay. Doesn't make me feel good. All right.
Do you get the impression, Mr. Fell, that they're being psychically controlled?
I feel like they are connected as one singular being, and this is just a meat puppet. I don't think this is very much its own creature. It's just a meat puppet for whatever's actually a singular being.
Would it be safe to postulate that these miners found something here that's trying to take control of them, possibly linked to this fungus that we see growing everywhere.
Maybe the red Lithelium.
Agreed, yeah. Considering the fact that we are in a place that has something that shouldn't exist and is rather rare for our part of the universe, I think it might be feeding on this goo or guck or whatever they found, this energy source, and I think it's probably the lifeblood for this creature.
Do you think that this creature might be able to leave this asteroid and, say, journey towards the fleet?
Blow up the asteroid.
Yeah, I don't think it can leave this rock. I think this is part of its lifeline. It needs to be attached to something. I think that's why it needs organic beings or creatures to feed off of. So unless it can gain knowledge from all these engineers that it's killed currently, I think we're pretty safe from it leaving this rock.
That's a terrifying prospect. How would we know if it's gained knowledge from these engineers or not?
Like if they could use engineering equipment,
Yeah, or
like they did.
the fact the ship's still here, though. The main ship's still here, so we still have a possibility of being not it being too sentient.
What do you mean they did, Mr. Keene?
They attacked our ship with it. They used the equipment to try to drill into the ship.
I didn't know how to use it.
That's
well.
not a mindless action.
That's true.
It has some sort of intent. It can at least try to lie, even as terrible at it as it does. It might be an alien intelligence, but intelligence it is.
I wonder if our best recourse then would not be to abandon this asteroid and then to safely blow it up from a distance. If there's a ship here that they could possibly use to one day get to the fleet, I don't want to be the captain who was responsible for infecting and destroying the only survivors of Braxia.
Then maybe we should, maybe you should talk to Sexy Tiefling Lady and give us some code red instructions.
You want to try and continue with the rescue of the ship and the miners.
I don't want to be the one to fail, and I think, listen, brother, I'm a very curious person. I want to know what's going on. No, I don't want to suspect.
Yes. Mr. Fell?
I think it's safe to say that we need to have something that shows us accomplishing the mission somehow, and we kind of have it with our little friend here.
Survivor, mate. Yep, happy to live.
And we came
Mr.
back and checked
Zagutu?
on the ship.
Blow him.
So would you recommend that we blow this rock then, Mr. Fell? Mr. Zagutu is clearly in agreement.
How effective do you think it's going to be if we try to destroy this ship from far away?
We'll need to get really far away from the rock.
What about you, Joyce?
We'll need a bomb. We're not going to get in a direct shot at it, at least
We
from the
have
range we're in.
one. The entire asteroid, this red Lithelium.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Explode, destroying the ship and hopefully every piece of technology on board. We don't want any sentient alien being knowing where the fleet is.
But that's what I'm saying is, if the distance we're going to need to shoot it, we can't get a direct shot from with the asteroid field. This thing, from what I can tell, this thing could go supernova.
We
At
can
least
put their ship on self-destruct.
that's a thing. We could definitely do that.
Trax,
we
how do you
need
feel
to-
about that?
Jack,
Trax?
Yeah, what?
How do you feel about blowing up the ship and the asteroid? Do you think we get far enough away with how much Lithelium's here?
Do you have a stick? Come on, something, anything.
I take out extendable baton.
Yep. 7, 6, 4, 3. Carry the 9.
I can do that too. 5, 3, 4.
He sort of thinks for a moment. He goes, "God damn it!" Ugh! 6, 4, 5, 6.
That's lunch. That's not. Those numbers aren't real.
Okay. Look, by my calculation, there should be enough yield still on that ship, assuming the electrovores haven't eaten it, to detonate with a reasonable amount to clear the asteroid. It could be a controlled blast, and if it's done so, that means we'll have an arc of about 45 degrees where the debris won't rip us to tiny pieces. And as long as we stay in that 45-degree arc, we'll be safe.
Emrith, is that safe?
I'm going to take it.
Oh, that's not good.
What?
I'm not getting a response from Emrith.
We're in the colony.
What
Captain,
could be jamming us? I've spoken to her just not 2 minutes ago. Have you got that power unit out of the refrigeration device yet, Mr. Zaguti? Let's get... I'm not on this rock.
All right. Over by the fridge, you can kind of see the one that Elias has pointed out. Master Dolyug has approached it. It's kind of a small refrigeration unit. It's quite chilly. It's quite cold.
I can make a better one. Yeah, and then I want to see where its power source is coming from.
Kind of look around. You sort of... as you lift the backing off. There is no power core.
Guys, there's nothing powering this. Is there some type of like super coolant thing? You know, like nitrous.
Yep, you flip it over. You make me a perception check.
It's not going to be good. 12.
Okay. You fling it open, and you make me a reflex save. As this very tiny lizard.
That's a little bit better. 17.
We found it!
17. You managed to thankfully get your arm in the way, and it seems to be biting down on your on your computer. There's this tiny.
Thank God my arm's in the way.
Thank God I gave it one of my limbs. As this tiny little electric red snake begins to writhe and wriggle on the end of your arm, its wings flapping panicked as it has suddenly been surprised from its resting point.
I'm going to try to catch it.
All right, let's go into initiative at this point, because this thing can actually possibly kill someone.
Oh my, I feel really safe right now.
All right, Elias.
Alrighty, I got a 10.
Let's go to 10. Ulrich?
18.
18. Bastian?
8.
And Dolyug?
Natural 20.
Ooh.
The modifier +2. So.
You are motivated. There is a...
Oh, you're very motivated.
Oh my God, this thing on my hand.
Oh, by the way, I actually do have a picture. I do have a picture of said creature, which I would like to share with you. Oh, I feel like I channeled the captain just then.
You can own Starfinder at Paizo Incorporated.
No. We don't advertise them until they give me a All right.
Come see the wonderful artistry of I don't know.
There you go.
Oh wow, that is mean looking.
Yeah, that is the creature itself. But as mentioned,
I want to keep one as a pet.
This one is very tiny. And its initiative is 16.
It's a good
All right.
thing you had a high initiative.
So, Dolyug, this thing is attached to your arm as you wriggle and you writhe and...
I'm going to pull out my knife and stab it.
Oh, no.
All right, make your attack.
I'm gonna aim wide. I got a 9.
All right, with a 9, you basically glance off its thick scales, and its kind of barbs that are crackling with electricity don't seem to really take to the knife too well. Captain, it is your turn.
Can azimuth laser pistols be set to stun? Is there such a thing?
The electric ones can. The fire ones cannot. It depends on which one you have.
Yeah, bollocks. All right.
Given the circumstances and the discussions we've had about your character in the past, given that it has made no relevant decision at the moment, I would be more than happy to allow you to alter that so that it is electric and you can indeed set it to stun.
So then, instead of burn, it's stun, right?
Correct. And it just changes the damage type.
Get knocked out.
Well, I shoot it. Sorry, Mr. Daliag. Since I haven't hit anything else, I'm not likely to hit you much.
But you're not aiming at me.
Right. I aim at you.
All right. Taking a shot at Daliag.
I got 18 to hit.
All right. You watch as the captain points directly at the head of Daliag, and the electricity bursts from the pistol and strikes the Electrovore. As it does so,
Oh no.
the Electrovore glows, and it seems to. Well, is it? Yeah, it is its turn.
Oops.
Best reaction ever.
Whose team are you on?
As the Electrovore lets go of Daliag, it flies rapidly towards the captain. As it does so, it seems to. All right, you have a 25% chance of this happening. Why? Okay, so 25% chance. I always roll higher will favor the group. 86 is what I've just rolled.
Nice.
Yay.
And this is the second time just fate has been on your side. So as the serpent flies through the air, it lands just at your feet and does this.
I think the little guy's hungry.
He thinks you're his mom.
I shoot again.
All right, you shoot it again as more electricity churns through it, and it seems to be happily chirping away. You shoot it again. Now,
Elias, grab it.
Now, as this happens, Elias, it is now your turn. Could I get you to make me a perception check, please?
Yes. Woohoo! 20.
20?
Yeah.
All right. With a 20, you notice that the guy who was in the dock, he was sort of waving.
Yeah.
He seems to try to step forward, and as he does, you notice that his head doesn't seem to want to go forward, but he seems to be trying to pull forward.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at him. Want me to try to? Hey, everyone, take a look at that. And also, Captain, you want me to try to catch this thing?
Yes, Electrovore. Capture the Electrovore, Mr. Keen.
All right, so I'm gonna give a glance at that, and then I'm gonna rush over there. And I'm gonna try to use the net to catch the Electrovore.
Okay, make your attack on the Electrovore.
Alrighty, 19.
All right, you put it in the net. It you see it sort of fluttering around on the inside, but it's a baby. It's very weak. It's got a strength of 1.
Betrayed yet another creature.
All right. Those are doing something. They're trying to do something. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Mr. Fell, do you sense anything?
I'll do a check.
Let's go with perception.
Perception. Okay, better. Okay. 16.
All right, with a 16, you notice that guy is basically sort of reaching and trying to pull against something that is clearly taut. As he does so, you hear this snap sound as he falls to the ground lifeless.
The captain, whatever was holding that thing up, is now gone. Or at least not grabbing onto the engineer anymore.
Some sort of cord. It's a physical connection.
All right, Mr. Zaguti, Mr. Keen, can you get that creature installed so we can get some power going on here? That'll help us sort things out. Mr. Fell, care to conduct an autopsy?
Care for the darkness.
Okay, yeah, let's go do that. All right, fine.
Wait, can you like telekinetically drag him towards you?
I have telekinetic projectile, so no, if he's too big. I can only like try and pull his feet like every once in a while.
Yes, with telekinetic projectile you wouldn't be able to, but with psychosymmetric hand you might have been able to. But
Fuck! I wish we had the grappling hooks.
all the
Oh.
all right, everyone sighs at the same thing.
Boom.
All right, Doliog and Elias begin to fit out the Electrovore, who is very angry inside of his new cage, as the electricity seems to crackle from him angrily. The engine seems to basically fire up, and you could see these illuminating lights suddenly cascade down this area. You could see, as Trax explained, there is a path that is very well lit that is leading down various flights of steps and over some bridges towards what you believe would be the Della Milani. On the other side, however, you could see smaller cables running to these tiny lights, and as they illuminate, you can see up to maybe 100 figures moving, just wandering around and meandering, very zombified within that area. With the way the light is reflecting, could I get both Bastian and Captain Ulrich to make me perception checks as they watch the individual?
First, Captain?
I believe we should look at this corpse very specifically and not look around.
Forget that. That is a future Ulrich problem. This is the current one.
A natural one. Yes.
Ooh.
This particular corpse.
Where'd the corpse go?
Taking a lot of your vision. There's a lot going on. Just
All right.
spot.
All right, Bass, what do you got?
I got a 14.
Oof, that's a no good. All right. So the two of you, basically at this point,
Oh, look, there's light.
yes, it's bright now. We can conduct this autopsy with illumination. All right. As you investigate the body, you can make me a medicine check. As you,
I'm not trained, so.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I believe medicine is not one of the trained-only skills, unless I'm lying, in which case the audience can.
It is trained only.
It is.
Is it? Oh no, that's no good. All right, very well. In which case, you guys can make me. You know what? No, I'll allow this one. I was going to say I'll allow Ulrich as well, because I feel like this is one of those things everyone should just know.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I accept.
And what did you get for yours?
I got 15.
15?
11.
11.
Died
Okay.
of death.
He died of death. All right. Well, you
died of a murdering thingy.
you definitely recognize what's wrong. Both of you do. As soon as you look at the body, the first thing you notice is that there is a cable made of fungus that seems to almost be growing from the back of his head. And it seems to go up maybe about a meter before it seems to have snapped like bits of fiber.
It's the fungus.
It has a lot of fungus on it.
In addition, you can see that there are there's no damage on it whatsoever. But the skin and the flesh, as soon as the cable sort of snapped, seems to start losing that pink luster and becomes
sucking the life out of it.
And no, now that it's disconnected, it seems to be
The other way around. The fungus is keeping them alive. When they break the connection, it dies.
correct.
Gentlemen, please do not touch any of the fungus. I wonder if the fact that it was
a suit.
well, that's question number 3. Question number 1 is, why was he trying to pull away from it so desperately to the point that it killed him? What would that suggest? The creature was trying to overextend itself. It's not like you would try and extend your hand until your hand ripped itself off. You have a physical limitation. It's as if the hand was trying to pull itself off of the cable.
I mean, no matter how functional it was, the problem that we have is it was still trying to get us to it.
Well, that could simply be the goal of the fungus. Do you think these engineers are aware that they've been controlled and they're trying to break free? That's why it's pulled itself literally to death.
We'd have to find out what the next ones we find.
You've got telepathic powers. You said when you reached out, you heard something just commanding them to feed. Is there a way that you can go deeper and see if the consciousness of these individuals is still there? If it is, it does change the tenor of our mission completely.
Then it becomes as a...
Well, then we have to try and free them from this creature. If it is a direct link, Mr. Keene can run around cutting them free, but if they die instantly, that's a problem. But if they are still aware, if they are still conscious, if they haven't been taken over completely, then it is our duty to try and save them. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't think anyone should be a slave.
Absolutely, or abandoned in such an instance. I was operating on the suspicion that they had completely been destroyed already and that they were merely husks.
Agreed.
As you continued this discussion, you notice something very peculiar begin happening to the body. You notice that tendrils, these white, clear, fibrous tendrils, begin to slowly start spreading out of its mouth and eyes and basically every orifice as it slowly begins to encase the body.
Oh.
Captain, we're going to have to be very aware of this fungus. It's taking over everything.
Mr. Keene, Mr. Zagutu, how is that engine? Are we good to go? Can we move on? Can we get to the?
Yeah, ops good.
We got company.
Meanwhile, on the other side, you can see the engineers sort of sitting there, like, bosses, right? Yeah, I mean, how do you guys find it? Do you guys get a like union payment, or is there like do you guys get dental? I mean, you got a lot of teeth.
Sometimes.
Look.
It really depends on who you came to ask to go in there, I just hitchhiked on the ship, and some other people.
Yeah. What about you?
Me? Well, it was an interesting night. Dark and stormy in the VR stream. I was working with some fine lady types when my brother kicked down the door and he said, "Dang it, Elias, you're the worst gunner I've ever seen, but you're the best one I can find." And I said, "It's been a long time, brother." And he looked to me and said, "I need you to finally stop messing around with all of these amazing women who are the most attractive things I've ever seen.
Guys!
Come and work with me." Oh, what? Wait. Sorry, I'll riveting tail this time.
He puts out his little smoke.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Pastor.
How far are we on the fixes? Are we good to go?
Oh yeah, we're done. We've been done for ages.
The
The lights came on and everything.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we don't notice that, right? Right, Captain.
Right, don't let the fungus touch you. Let's get to this bloody ship now. We've got power back. Well done, Mr. Zagutu.
Pats himself on the back. All right. Okay, you begin to march hastily towards the ship, following the trail illuminated by the lights. As you proceed down into the depths of the asteroid, the fungus appears to migrate from being attached to the floor to being attached to the ceiling. And these little kind of tendrils seem to be reaching downwards. They don't seem to move or anything. They're just sort of hanging like vines But eventually you veer a corner, and you can see in front of you the beautiful ship, the Della Milani. And the grand irony is that there isn't a fungus aboard her. It's almost as if the fungus has actively avoided this particular ship.
That's
On
odd.
board!
It stands basically like a giant cocoon almost, with 4 stilted prongs that allow it to land. It has these 2 fixtures on either side, which are firmly drilled and implanted into the ground for stability. And you can see this iris that seems to be seated at the top where you imagine the bridge would be.
Is there any heat damage on the stilts?
There's none. This looks, apart from obviously some neglect in terms of like dusting and whatnot, it's a perfectly ordinary looking ship. It bears the same marks that most ships of the Braxian fleet bear, which, during the escape, but apart from that, looks perfectly fine.
Ship's too
Captain.
clean.
Let's find the captain's logs.
I agree. All right, priority is to get the ship onto lockdown and try and get it under our control if possible, if we can't find any crew who are sentient enough. Mr. Trex, I assume you have access codes.
Yeah, totally do, mate. Look, the access code for me is 7401 hybridized 7.
Then get us onto that ship.
All right, sort of walks up to the ship. Do you mind?
Now that we've returned you to your spaceship, Mr. Trax, you will find that we'll be even less likely to let you go, since you could take the ship and disappear, leaving all of your crewmen behind, which is something that you have already done once, so we can assume you will do it again.
Tell me the code.
7401 hybridized 7.
Should that get us into the front door? Okay.
Yep, you walk up to the front door. As the ramp appears, despite the kind of ovuloid shape of the exterior of the ship, the interior, as built by dwarves, you can now tell rigid, hard, rocky corners that steep down as these steps that go up seem to have these very interesting markings. Basically, everything around you screams dwarf. Dwarfs made this, dwarfs made that. This wasn't made by a dwarf, that was a coffee machine. This, however, was a dwarven coffee machine that only serves 100% ground coffee beans. There is no milk, no water in this system. It is just like coffee. Like, that's it.
Is the Mr. Coffee machine still the superior coffee maker?
No, that's the other one. The dwarven coffee beans are the special ones.
Mr. Trax, can we expect any kind of force fields, false paneling, any kind of ship defenses internally?
Well, no, it's a mining ship. I mean, the security wasn't really stellar, but the ship is what it is. It's doesn't have any interior shields, laser guns, tripwires, vices, grinders, chompers.
Let's get to the bridge as quickly as we can, and then Mr. Fell, please try and establish a connection with Ambeth and with our ship, if possible.
All right.
Can't make contact with him.
All right.
Mr. Good, I don't know if we need to separate just yet. Let's get to the bridge, see what we can see, and then we'll send you off to engineering, if you don't mind.
Right.
All right, so I'm going to give you a brief layout of the ship from top to bottom as delivered by Trax and as you explore it. All of these areas that I'm going to mark out as key locations, you are free to explore and engage with as you wish to. There are other areas to the ship, but they are either not interesting or you will find literally nothing there. So the first is obviously the living quarters, where you know that they have been staying, and this is obviously where Trax would like to return in order to really retrieve some of his belongings. You know that there is an engineering bay, which is where the ship's engines, propulsion, and all of that is housed. Below that, there is an entire deck floor dedicated to a refinery. So this allows them to be able to process some of the material to make it easier for transportation. There is also a very crude medical bay, as well as the captain's quarters, which are kept separate from the crew's quarters. The bridge. There is no form of gunnery area or anything like that. And last, there is a mag-locked cargo bay area. Now, the mag-locks are basically attached to, you would know, attached to large cargo containers that are all magnetized. So they basically are fixed no matter what happens. The ship should be able to deal with, say, a large explosion in one of the compartments without having all the cargo then chain reaction explode, as it is designed.
Break that.
And of course the airlock, but you don't need it. All right, heading towards the bridge, you find yourself in a large, sort of rectangular room with these what looks to be this large stone throne, seated at the top of a dais that overlooks a series of control panels. The various consoles that surround this one singular chair appear to have dwarven writings throughout. Yes, that is what you see. There is no one here, and you have passed no one since you have arrived. The corridors are, as I mentioned, relatively dusty, but that's about it.
This is highly unusual. Where are the crew?
Out there trying to kill us.
Everybody's been taken over, and yet there's no fungal matter on the ship.
Yeah,
Maybe
bunch of
I guess
foolish
it's not
women.
what we expected to be.
Maybe we need more information. Maybe the logs have it.
All right. Make a computing check as you boot up the computer system.
All right, this is still power.
Just lost my die.
Apparently, Bastion is having trouble translating dwarven controls to what he understands.
It would be a 19.
19. With a 19, do you speak Dwarven or do you have Dwarven as a language?
I do not have Dwarven.
Ooh, then while you can be somewhat intuitive, you sadly do not manage to find where the access logs are without being able to understand this. You can try a different tact, or someone can attempt to assist you.
I'll attempt to assist. I have
Trax must speak Dwarvish. Trax.
G'day. Yeah, I speak Dwarvish.
Yes.
Kind of important for the job.
The logs, if you please.
Sort of leans over and sort of points Bastion to that particular button.
Right.
As you do so, you can see a series of logs that date back to about a week ago. And they do go back further in daily increments. So you can go from the last log and however many before that you wish to.
The last log was a week ago?
Correct.
Woof.
There a black box on this ship?
Fundamentally, the logs are kept in the black box.
Okay.
Can we connect with the Starswift?
Make a computing check. You will get a +4 bonus from Trax being able to assist you.
It's gonna be 14.
14. With a 14, Ambeth comes over the comms. This is the Starswift.
Oh, it's good to hear you, Embeth.
Captain, I trust that you have found the Dela Milani then.
Yes. Can we transfer the logs onto the Dela Milani, from the Dela Milani onto the Starswift?
Yes, with this connection, I should be able to transfer the data immediately, sir.
Excellent. Mr. Keane, Mr. Sagushu, perhaps you should have a look at the engine systems, if possible. I don't want us to head off on our own. Always work in pairs, if you please. There is something very strange going on in this rock. Can we lock the external doors for now whilst we're on board this vessel? Mr. Fell, can you see how they got us how they got in here so that we can figure out a way to get out as well.
All right, so going through. Elias, could you make me a computing check as you attempt to seal off the doors? Master Doliag, you are making your way down to the engineering bay once Master Elias is done, and he will accompany you. Bastian, could I get a survival check as you go through the navigation charts with tracks in order to try and locate a suitable pathway out? And Captain, please enjoy this complimentary cup of tea.
14.
It's dwarvish.
It's literally just ground up tea leaves, no water. They do not weaken their tea. They do not weaken their coffee.
It's all just the strongest taste you could possibly get.
Yeah. Well, when you eat dirt for the, for a great dirt and mushrooms, flavor is very important. All right. So, Elias, what do we get?
14.
14. All right. With a 14, you very easily managed to seal off the ship from the interior, and you and Doliag begin to make your way towards the engineering room. Bass, what was your?
Very smoothly say 27.
Ooh, very nice.
Ooh.
All right. You chart.
Big dick in the locker room.
You swing around your survival check, and you find that there is indeed a clear path out. However, you're not certain, because this is with the 27, you're not certain if that path will necessarily be there anymore, given the recent shifts in the rock structure. You would actually need to perform a full proper scan, which will take you the better part of 2 hours before you're able to give a definite pathway out. So you know the way they took, but you're not entirely sure if that's still going to be the same way out.
Okay.
Captain, as you are basically watching the flickering logs as they're being downloaded by Embeth, you can make me a perception check as you're basically just watching the images as they flash past.
Sure. Perception check of 14.
14. All right. So 3 things you notice as the logs flash past. The first is that the last of the logs appear to be broken. It seems as though the image is just static. It's just one image rather than a reeling motion thing. They just, just this one frame. As it goes to the previous days, they then, the movements begin to commence. And you can see kind of a look of panic on 3 days prior to the incident. The captain, as he is dictating, he appears to be, kind of alarmed. And then you have an image of some sort of bizarre alien-looking egg around the 4th day before the final log.
Does the egg look like it's on board the ship, or does it look like it's inside a cavern?
It looks like it was in the engineering room.
Mr. Zagutu, stop where you're going right now.
Yes.
Why
Yes,
would
Captain?
you have an egg in engineering?
It's warm. It's about
That is
it.
a
Otherwise,
Terrifying thought. Heat has activated whatever's on this asteroid. Mr.
Yeah,
Fell, have a look at this. What are your thoughts?
Life sciences?
I'm
If you
getting
gotta
Embeth to
train.
help you.
Absolutely. Embeth, can you identify what this image? Send it to everyone's communications, please. I want everyone to have a look at this.
Embeth sends each of you a picture of the egg, which appears to be a iridescent kind of opaly kind of color. If you've ever seen like Mother of Pearl, that's the kind of color it is. But it appears to be kind of a very leathery sort of egg.
18.
18 on your life sciences. You haven't seen this type of egg before specifically, but it is definitely bears a lot of insectoid qualities. In fact, you're almost certain that this egg would not be native to this particular place. Like you're certain it's not.
Definitely doesn't belong in this rock, but I don't know why they brought it here. So there's something definitely strange about this, sir.
Does it look like the egg is encased or held in a purpose-built device or container, or does it look like it's just been placed on the deck plating in the engineering room?
Very well spotted. As you investigate the egg, you notice that it has been welded to the floor onto an iron plate.
Oh.
Wait, Captain. This could be the reason why none of the fungus is coming onto the ship.
I'm gonna go look at it.
With extreme prejudice and caution, Mr. Keene. If it moves, kill it. Zagutu, please accompany him.
Just be aware. Don't try to kill it. Lock that thing inside the room, because
If it attacks.
If it attacks, just close the room.
Trust me. It's me, Elias. Come on.
Captain, this could be the reason why there's no fungus on the ship. If that thing is keeping it, away, then we should try and keep that thing alive.
I understand that, Mr. Fell. On the other hand, let's reposition that sentence. What could possibly intimidate a creature that has the capacity to overcome more than 100 miners without any form of resistance whatsoever? What would scare something like that? This egg?
Okay, good fear. No, I totally get it. Yeah.
All right.
Just be aware. Okay.
All right.
What if we?
I'm sorry.
What if we put it in our pool and it gives us eternal life?
We fill that whole entire thing up with as
That's
much
an
water as we can.
old reference for any of you.
All right. So as you make your way down to engineering, you have your weapons at the ready, I assume?
Yeah.
Excellent. As the door slides open, you cough and you splutter as this gas seems to leave, like this thin sort of mist pours out of the engineering room. And in the center of the room, which is visibly colder now than the rest of the ship, you can see an egg that has been split open.
Ooh. I'm gonna give a perception check around the immediate area, and then I'm going to go in.
All right, Dolyug,
Float in.
float in. As you float in, the mist sort of swirls out of the way. As Elias walks in, he sort of.
I'm a Kimbo. I got my knife and my gun.
All right. All right. Make your perception checks, both of you.
16.
16.
That would be a 6.
No.
Yeah, 6.
Okay. As you make your way towards the egg, you lean over to peer into what perhaps occupied that egg space. And that is where we're going to leave it today, as we will come back and find out what it is that they discover in the engineering room.
What's in the egg?
What's in the egg? As you guys have, of course, proceeded through quite admirably through this quite haunting and chilling escapade. What is indeed going on at the Della Milani? What caused this whole catastrophe aboard this asteroid to happen? If you're interested, then of course tune in next week as we explore and find out. But for now, if you are sticking with us, we are going to do a quick post-game analysis and have a bit of a discussion there. So if we don't see you till next time, we'll catch you later. But for those of us staying, let's turn, of course, to the Dice of Destiny to see who is going to share with us their thoughts and feelings for this episode. Starting, of course, with number 2, which is, of course, Master Dolyug, played by Steb. How you doing?
I'm good. That was fun.
All right.
That was.
How's that feeling? How do we feel?
Yeah. I didn't lose my drone yet.
Yet.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen. really interesting where this is going towards. I'm curious. There's a lot of routes that we can take right now. I'm partial to blowing up the whole asteroid and getting the hell out of there. But there, that's me playing Dahlia, but as like a different tactical person, I'm really curious about, can we save these people? Are these people savable because they're an alien on here? Is this just like evil fungi, or is there something bigger? Did it come from this egg? We don't even know if it came from the egg. I mean, there's all sorts of different things that need to be explored, but I'm still partial towards blowing it all up. So,
Oh yeah, no, this is gonna be. There's just so much stuff. I wish I could spoil, but I'm not gonna. No, I thought it was really good, and I love Dolly Young's reaction to the goblin as well. Spread him! Spread him! Put those hands! Don't give me that excuse. You have to. No, it was good. It was great. I love Dolly Young.
Good.
All right. Elias, tell us how was your experience today?
I'm going to reference T.S. Eliot in this one, is that we will never stop exploring, and that our final destination will be to arrive at where we began and see it for the first time. I think I'm going to have a very similar feeling about this session, as I get to look back at all of our theories and see about, wow, they were all wrong. So as we arrive at the beginning, I am very, so this is like a lot of setup, a lot of, as us trying to put the puzzle pieces together. So it felt very cool, but I'm very excited in retrospect to see how fumbling and stupid it all looks when we know the correct answer. So that's kind of my take on it, is us working with the tools that we have in the best way we can, and like fan fiction writers just throwing literally all the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
Turns out just wanted to give us crumpets.
You guys definitely pulled on the woolen jumper, but every time you've pulled a thread, you've sort of found another loose thread and you started pulling that. So the jumper's slowly unraveling, but we'll have to tune in to figure out where all the pieces will eventually land. Master Guy?
Yes, well, interesting. I was going to blow up the asteroid without caring, because if they're all being taken over and we can't help them, we can't help them. But then there's that strange action where it seems as if they have some kind of autonomy somewhere underneath there, that they are still individuals who can try and break free. And that causes a big problem, of course, for Mr. Keen. He cannot let anyone remain behind. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. I think the good cop, bad cop routine that happened earlier with Mr. Fell, I think kind of worked out well, because clearly the captain can't intimidate anyone on his own. He has to be the second man, which I think works out quite well. But I have found my Counselor Troy, which I think is particularly awesome. It's like, are you sensing anything, Mr. Fell? No, just like her, fuck all. All right, great. So moving on. Good. But I had the option of asking,
Yes.
importantly. So no, I'm having a lot of fun, actually. I think it's working out quite well, and I think we can't hit anything. So I do think mandatory firearm exercise and training for the entire crew is scheduled.
I think we wanted to hit.
I think I think it's been absolutely incredible. I think the mystery has been there. I think there's been little tiny, like, kind of little lassos thrown out. Like, hey, do you guys want combat? Like, do you guys want to go and fight these guys or do this thing? And you guys have sort of been going like, no, we're good. I don't know what it is about my games that make players want to not do the thing and like want to shoot the whole game from orbit. But it's not the first time it's happened to me, and I'm sitting there thinking, maybe it's me. Maybe I just
get back like 2 levels from now.
Bastion.
Too much history. Oh no, what are we gonna do?
All right, Bastion. How do we go?
I'm loving it. I am getting more comfy with trying to be like, I'm totally on the captain's side. I'm your go-to talking guy. I got your back because I don't know how to hit anything either. And every time we get into battle, I just go look off into the distance.
Do you know what's really funny? I don't think it's any one person either, because remember when we had the the robotic hand thing. You know, we had Elias there, like trying to hit it. Dolly getting the grenades and you know, sitting there. Like, I mean, we're just
a disaster of shooters. Yeah, we definitely need to go do some target training for the next 2 weeks when we land.
Yeah, that's it.
Side.
Yeah, you know what? I'll even allow it if you guys like, because there will be some downtime where you guys will get to explore your characters and what they would do in the downtime. If you guys want to hire someone to train you in some things, I will not only run that game, I will also give you actual tangible mechanical bonuses for doing actual legitimate training.
I'll work for the Empire for a while, you know.
Did you say
Yeah.
mechanical bonuses?
All right. And for me, the fun thing is for this particular game, as some of you know, if you've watched the episodes from the start, we began with a bit of a flash forward into what was potentially happening. And the thing is every single thing that they're doing is still building up to that, you know, and there's not been a point where I've been playing this that I've sort of gone, oh no, they've taken a wrong turn and that's going to ruin everything I've done. So, I mean, I love the fact that that everyone seems to be either intentionally or unintentionally moving in exactly the direction I want the game to go in, because that's just amazing when that happens, when you're GMing and there's just this really great vibe and you get a good sense of what everyone's going to be doing and their passions and their interests and how it's all working out. And do I have surprises in store for you guys. So if you want to check those surprises out and, of course, catch more of the stuff that we do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and check in the descriptions for all the cool stuff that we all do. And from us here at the Starswift, as always, keep your dice rolling and make sure your ideas stay mindworm-free. Have a good one.
See you guys.